Today on an all-new Dr. Phil, she claims her ex kidnapped her son from the hospital.
My son is being raised in a Mormon cult. They have brainwashed him.
Did you kidnap this child?
No, sir.
He's just a liar.
Should the boy stay with his father?
You gave your son permission to go with him.
But I had no idea that the plan was to never bring him back.
Or should he be back with his mom?
My stepfather was very abusive. He told me I was his slave, and he owned me.
It never happened. Did you steal food because you were starving?
Yes.
And what happened if you got caught stealing the food?
They would beat me.
Nobody beat you.
Have you been brainwashed?
She's the one that brainwashed me.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
I hate to see people suffering, and you've hurt long enough.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I'm going to get you the help that you need.
5, 4.
This is going to be a changing day in your life. A teen shooting, accusations of kidnapping, brainwashing, threats of lawsuits, even murder. Look at this tweet. You all underestimate me. I will get my hands dirty. I will strangle the life out of you until you move no more. So where is all of this hostility coming from? Well, it's coming from a desperate mother named Minnie who believes her teenage son was kidnapped by his biological father. Minnie says this stranger of a dad who was never in her son's life shows up one day and snatches the boy out of his hospital bed and puts him in a cult. Take a look.
My son is being raised in a Mormon cult. His father came up with this plan to get and claim his male heir for his Mormon faith. That's why he took Andrew. I met David when I was 19. I was in college at the time, and he was kind of a bad boy. I had a 3-night stand with David. I found that I was pregnant August of 1994. My son Andrew was born in April of 95. I knew that David was not a viable solution, so I never told him. Being Andrew's mother was very stressful. When Andrew was 2 years old, I noticed some troubling behavior. He saw his first psychiatrist when he was 5.5, and they had said that it sounded like hyperactivity disorder or bipolar disorder. Another doctor said he had obsessive compulsive disorder. He had oppositional defiant disorder, pervasive developmental disorder. He was diagnosed with psychotic disorder, so he had multiple issues. When Andrew was 6, I found David online and I sent him an email. I was looking for David off and on for many years because it was always something in the back of my mind that I should tell him. I felt guilty. David met Andrew when he was approximately 6 years old for the first time. From the ages of 6 to 17, David had only seen Andrew approximately 3 times. After 2004, David never phoned Andrew or myself, never emailed, and never made any attempt to see Andrew. No Christmas cards, no birthday cards. I thought, who does that? Andrew never asked about David. Andrew has always called my husband Lon Dad. Lon was really the hands-on father.
Now, Minnie says Lon was always there for Andrew, including the night he took one of the family guns and shot himself in the chest.
On November 9, 2012, my son tried to kill himself by shooting himself point blank in the chest with a handgun. When I heard a gun going off, I instantly knew what had happened, and I thought, that can't be. My son couldn't have shot himself. I immediately ran to get Lon, and I said, Andrew shot himself. Go, go, and go. I'm sorry. Lon went into the room. He yelled immediately, call 911. Andrew was gasping, and there was blood, and Lon was cradling him. Andrew had a collapsed lung. The bullet had broken into fragments, so he had a bullet lodged into his arm. He had 2 broken ribs. He was in a lot of pain, and it was hard to watch. A couple days later, I sent David an email that said, we almost lost Andrew. David came immediately. David or his wife called in to Child Protective Services, and they devised a plan to have David take Andrew from the hospital without my permission. I believe there was a conspiracy to have my son kidnapped. I did not know I was working with the enemy. David kidnapped Andrew. I feel like I've lost my son forever.
Well, Minnie is convinced that David has hypnotized and brainwashed her son to hate her. She says David will do anything to keep her son away from her.
Once my son had been with David for 2 weeks, I requested that David send him back to me. David refused to send him back at that time. All of my communications with Andrew since David took him from the hospital has been monitored. I don't have an email address. I don't have a phone number. I have no communication with my son. I'm sorry. Am I allowed to talk to my son? All I do is look at pictures of him and cry. All I have is the memories. In May of last year, my son told me he wanted nothing to do with me, and that was the last time I talked to him. I'm pretty sure that Andrew from the beginning has Stockholm Syndrome, empathizes only with David, his wife, and their family. They gave him everything to make him happy, to entice him to stay there. He had this instant family full of cousins and church and a girlfriend and a job. They have brainwashed my son into believing that I am evil. Andrew is very susceptible to brainwashing techniques because of his mental illness. People need to pay for what they did. I'm currently suing the County of Humboldt, Sierra Vista Hospital in Sacramento. I am suing several social workers involved in that, and I'm suing David and his wife. What they did was wrong. It was a crime. David will go to jail.
You say that Andrew is susceptible to brainwashing because he has mental illness. You say that he's over hyper since age 2, that he has ODD, which is oppositional defiant disorder, autism. In 2005, the Maryland Public School administered the Gilliam Autism Rating Scale, and they found his scores did not fall in range for the probability of autism, however.
Well, it was 3 points below Asperger's syndrome. It was just 3 points below that.
Okay.
And that is why they gave him the diagnosis of pervasive developmental disorder.
But the point is, whatever of these labels that we want to put, you have experienced him to be diminished in his development and his coping abilities, and you think that makes him additionally susceptible.
Well, over the
to
years
mind control.
of raising him and knowing my son, from my experience, he's been susceptible to being easily influenced by others.
Now, Minnie's husband, Lon, helped raise Andrew since he was a boy. He's joining us via Polycom because he is home watching over Minnie and Lon's 3 younger children. So, Lon, you have been in this young man's life since what age?
Oh, 7. I guess he was 7.
Okay. And what has your relationship been with him? Has this been a father-son relationship? Have you gotten along with him well? Did your interactions take a normal course or an unusual course?
Well, Dr. Phil, I've raised other children, and it was as normal as you'd have with a father-son relationship. It was normal, except that he had some issues. You know, he was just a different child, but he was always a good boy.
All right, well, let's fast forward to this terrible night of the shooting. Can you tell us what happened? I know Minnie says she came and told you. Had you heard the gunshot?
No, we have the home we were living in, Dr. Phil, was shaped like a large L, ranch style, and the master bedroom's at the far end. I did not hear the gunshot. I was sleeping when it went off, and Minnie just came down frantically, waking me.
Okay, and you raced into the room, and what did you find? What did you walk in on?
Well, I could smell the gunpowder, and I saw Andrew laying on the bed. He had a white towel on his chest, and I asked him what he did, and he said he shot himself, and he said the gun's over on the cabinet. Minnie was at the door. I was yelling at her to call 911. I held him. He never lost consciousness. And they took him away, and I didn't even get a chance to tell him I love him or anything. That's the last I saw of him.
Here's the question. Did David kidnap Andrew?
I had no idea that the plan all along
was for David to never bring him back. He abducted my son. He did.
And later,
Ever since I was 7, Lon beat me. Physically and mentally, I was abused for 10 years.
Andrew, you know that never happened.
Oh,
Nobody
Mom.
beat you.
I was beat every day for 10 years.
Wednesday on an all-new Dr. Phil.
My dad gave me $30.
you have an addict for a daughter and you're giving her money to make yourself feel better, not to help her.
I think that's a crock. This is my fault. Is that what you wanted to hear?
Is this father killing his daughter?
Are you telling me that you don't know she's buying drugs with it?
You took her to a drug house to get it. In what world would any parent do that to their child?
That's Wednesday.
All right, well, let's fast forward to this terrible night of the shooting. He goes to the hospital, and he remains conscious, right? He remains conscious, goes to the hospital, and he has damage to a lung and
Collapsed lung.
And
a bullet slug that broke into 2 fragments that's still lodged here with he shot himself point blank in the chest. It was about 1 inch from his heart.
So you just maintain a vigil at the hospital, but you email David days later.
Days later.
Okay.
Yes.
At some point. Now, there was an email from Minnie to David on November 13th, 2012, 9:50 a.m. She says, "We almost lost Andrew. He shot himself in the chest. He is stable now." So that's your notifying him. And now he stays under medical care there for a few days. Then he is transferred to a psych facility.
An adult psychiatric facility.
Right.
And he was still bleeding internally when they did that. I had no idea.
Okay. So they transfer him there, and David comes to see him.
They transferred him via ambulance
Right.
from the adult facility.
Okay.
David followed in his car, drove down to Sacramento, and he was admitted into that hospital for a few days, and then subsequently discharged to David against
Okay.
my consent.
Okay, and then David proceeds to take him
To Nevada. And refused to return him.
And so this is all against your consent.
Yes.
And no authorization from you.
Correct.
And you have custody of
Yes.
the boy.
I am the sole legal guardian parent, and he doesn't have court order visitation or court order custody. He has nothing. And I can't understand, why can't I report a kidnapping? My son's 17. He's not 18. What's wrong with this justice system?
Were you upset when you found out that he was on the way to Nevada?
I was not, because my son called me and said, can I visit with David? I have never, he hadn't seen him since he was 6 years old. And it's Thanksgiving the next day, and David wants me to go and meet extended relatives. And I was 6 hours away with 3 children, and I was blindsided by him getting released from the hospital, because he was supposed to be there for the next couple of days. No one was ever supposed to discharge him. I thought I would have gotten a phone call that the doctor signed my child out.
But you were okay with him going with David?
Andrew did ask me if he could go once he got out of the hospital, if he could go to Nevada. And I said, I guess yes.
Okay, so the kidnapping, you don't consider the kidnapping taking place when he went to Nevada because he asked you if he could go and you said yes?
No, I do consider that it took place because David only came from Nevada with the plan to kidnap him all along.
But you gave your son permission to go with him.
After he'd already left the hospital, I did not give the hospital permission. So
Well, that's a different issue.
Yeah, that's a
they
different
didn't
issue.
kidnap your son. I'm saying with regard to the kidnapping.
Well, actually, I am suing them because they did conspire with David.
At the time he left the hospital with David to go to Nevada, you gave your permission.
Yes, to my son I did.
Okay,
After
so
he'd
you
been
said, yes,
discharged.
you can
Yes,
go.
you can go. Mhm.
Okay, I'm not saying you're okay with the discharge.
Right, okay.
I'm saying, but once the discharge happens, off
But
they go to
understandably,
Nevada.
I had no idea that the plan all along was for David to never bring him back. David knew he was never going to bring him back. My concern was, why aren't we getting the bullet slug removed? This is stupid.
Okay.
My son
Okay,
just
you
shot
keep
himself.
changing subjects.
Right.
I'm not talking about medical care. I'm not a
Okay.
medical doctor. I don't have an
Right.
opinion
What I'm
about that.
saying is, no
I don't know if
mother
that
would
doctor
say,
needs
go
be-
to Nevada when your son needs medical care. No good mother in their right mind would say that.
But you did.
After they'd kicked him out of the medical facility, yes, I did. I did not know he was still bleeding internally. I thought a medical doctor was at this place in Sacramento, but there wasn't. I thought it was a hospital capable of caring for my son. So I did not understand what was going on.
All right. Look, here's the question. Did David kidnap Andrew?
Abducted him under California law. He did. California Penal Code 278 and 278.5. He abducted my son. He did.
We're going to talk to David when we come back. And then later, Andrew is going to speak out about what he says happened. There are a lot of different point of views here. We want to get them all out. We'll be right back.
I'm going to ruin your family. So take that to bed at night. You don't want to mess with me.
Minnie has threatened to run me over with a truck, to shoot me at point-blank range, to climb through the windows of our house and suffocate me and my family. I don't think Minnie will ever stop or give up.
All this week.
You have an addict for a daughter, and you're giving her money to make yourself feel better, not to help her.
I think that's a crock of
Is this father killing his daughter?
He picks me up and takes me to the drug house. What world would any parent do that to their child?
An obsessed love triangle.
I love Chris Otterfield. Chris loves me.
And you say you were engaged to Chris.
He gave me this ring.
Did you ask her to marry you?
Not that I can recall.
Do you have trouble being unclear?
I do sometimes.
I believe that my mom killed my sister's best friend and buried her in the backyard.
A daughter's outrageous accusations.
You said you were passed around to your dad's friends at sex parties. Did this happen?
No, none of it happened. Oh my God.
No, you don't get to do this. It is not a response to say, oh, well, I just, oh. If you want to unplug, we're done. It was November of 2012 when Minnie says her troubled 17-year-old son, Andrew, took the family handgun and tragically tried to kill himself. He shot himself in the chest at point-blank range. By the grace of God, he survived. He lived. Minnie says she knew that she had to reach out to Andrew's biological father, David, even though they haven't had any contact in 10 years. She said she never expected David to kidnap their son out of the hospital where he was recovering and take him across state lines to live with him. Take a look.
I did not kidnap my son, Andrew. I did nothing illegal. Lon and Minnie asked me to take him for him to live with us. The plan was he was going to come live with me. I saw Andrew 3 times from the ages of about 6 to 17. Over the years, Minnie had contacted me 3 times to take Andrew, to raise him. Interaction with Minnie would be hostile very frequently. She'd be very erratic. She could be pleasant and at the same time completely flip a switch and be very mean and nasty. Because the situation with Minnie got more hostile, I felt that I should back off and that I should probably have to wait till he was an adult to have a relationship with him. Minnie is out of control and obsessed with getting Andrew back.
David, this is Minnie. I'm going to ruin your family. I'm going to ruin you. So take that to bed at night. You don't want to mess with me. David, just so you know, you and your wife both are guilty of kidnapping. Both are going to jail. I'll be pushing for FBI federal sentencing guidelines up to 20 years. Surrender my kid tomorrow, David. It's just getting worse for you. Goodbye, alleged Mormon.
Minnie has threatened to kill and harm myself, my wife, my children, threatened to damage us financially. She's threatened to run me over with a truck, to shoot me at point-blank range, to climb through the windows of our house and suffocate me and my family. Andrew's a great kid with a bright future. Many said that Andrew has mental problems. I don't think he does. Since Andrew's come to live with me, Andrew has graduated from high school. Andrew ran on the track team, got his driver's license. Andrew has a full-time job. Andrew's very happy. We are not brainwashing Andrew. I love Andrew very much. Yeah, I love Andrew very much. I want Minnie to not terrorize me and my family anymore. I want Minnie to let Andrew move on in life. I don't think Minnie will ever stop or give up.
Well, David, thank you for being here. Did you kidnap this child?
No, sir.
Have you brainwashed this child to believe the things you want him to believe?
No, sir, I have not.
Have you hypnotized this child?
No, I've never.
You have. He's just a liar. What about 8 hours a day in seminary as soon as my son got there? David, that's called brainwashing. You're a liar. Everything you've said's a liar. Do you have a voicemail that says I'm going to crawl through your window? Do you? Really?
I have
No, you don't, because it didn't happen. Did you have a voicemail that says I'm going to shoot you point blank in the head? You would have played that one, I'm pretty sure.
I have an email here from you to David on December 2nd, 2012, 1:15 p.m. It says, Andrew sounds awesome. The way Andrew talks makes me want to convert to the Mormon religion and move to a little town like yours. It sounds like you have the perfect environment to raise healthy and respectful children, but most of all, children who know God. Now that's, you sent that.
I did send that, but you know, you got to understand, my son's calling me and saying, I want to live here now. He'd only been there a couple of days. They were calling me saying, we want you to send all of his worldly possessions. We want him to live here.
Well, let's
and I
look
thought
at this.
I have to get out there.
All right, let's look at this other email. This is from Minnie to Jennifer, who is David's wife. It says, nice to know he is settling in there. Andrew is very polite and nice when he is with everyone else. We never see Andrew, the Andrew you're seeing right now, unless we have friends visiting us. If you guys get him on health insurance in Vegas, then feel free to put him in school there. Also, I thought it would be wise to allow him to visit for at least 3 weeks and see if he really does want to stay there for a longer amount of time, and then we could revisit the school thing at that time.
That was a lie. I did send them these emails because I did not want to alert them because I thought they were crazy nutcases.
But you said that you thought they were abusing him by making everything perfect, that he had a track, he was on the track team.
Enticing him to stay there. I'm saying, what kind of freaking parent lets a child run track with a collapsed lung? He didn't take him to get any medical care.
Dr. Phil, before I ever showed up, Andrew was cleared medically.
He was not.
I don't have the ability
He's
as
a
a
liar.
non-custodial parent to talk to Andrew without her permission. She signed the consent forms. I did not have
I didn't
the
sign a consent
opportunity
form.
to speak with the doctors about Andrew. They asked me questions about why did they move so much growing up.
See?
They went
that
into
has nothing to do with anything. Why did I move so
wondering
much?
Andrew's frame of mind.
Well, you told us you did sign a consent form for them to give him information about
Release
his
of
medical.
information to
Right.
talk to, not the hospital, not for the hospital.
Why was there an investigation?
There was a child welfare investigation because when my son shot himself, they're like, well, how did he get the gun? It became all about the gun. So I'm living this gun debate with the police and child welfare workers while I'm grieving for my son just shot himself. No mother would say, go take my kid to live with you in Nevada. This is so ludicrous. I never did that.
All right, we got to take a break. Coming up, David says he thinks Minnie invented Andrew's mental illnesses. He says he thinks this young man is fine and has been fine. Well, we'll talk about that when we come back. Plus, what does Andrew have to say about his mother's accusations? I want to hear what this young man has to say. We'll be right back.
My whole life, I felt like I wasn't normal. My stepfather was very abusive. My mother told me I was autistic. I just wanted to get out of the situation I was in. If I knew I could have gone with David, my dad, then I wouldn't have shot myself. I honestly want my mom to go away.
I think David was angry all these years. I didn't know it. He only has girls. He has 3 daughters, and they don't have a male heir. And I believe specifically that David came up with this plan to get and claim his male heir for his Mormon faith. I believe that is why he took Andrew.
She told us that you wanted him because you do not have a son and that you need an heir to the Mormon throne.
There's some things that she doesn't understand about our faith. Another thing.
She also
the
said
Mormon
you were a
faith-
West Virginia yokel and an idiot.
Yeah, I'm from Maryland. I'm from Maryland.
I'm from Maryland too, but there is a difference,
But did
David. You are the liar here.
But if he is a West Virginia yokel
Yokel, that's what I call them in depositions. West
and
Virginia
an idiot,
local.
if he's a West
And an
Virginia
idiot.
yokel and an idiot, don't you think the Mormons could find a better heir to the throne?
No, I mean his family, Dr. Phil. I mean, he has 3 daughters. He does not have
Beautiful
a son.
daughters. I have a
3
beautiful
beautiful family, right? Without a son, until you kidnap mine.
Now, we've heard from Minnie, we've heard from David, we've heard from Lon. Well, let's hear from Andrew and see what he has to say about this situation.
Life was really good until I turned 7. That's when my mom married Lon. My stepfather was very abusive. He pretty much beat me every day in every way possible. We moved a lot. He said he was an entrepreneur, but I'm convinced he was a con artist. He stole money from people, and when we get the money, we'd pack up and move. I never finished a year of school anywhere. They thought school was optional. My whole life, I felt like I wasn't normal. My mother told me I was autistic, I had Asperger's, I had pervasive development disorder. She used to take me to doctors all the time, and they'd tell her I was normal, and she wouldn't believe them. She even told the schools I was autistic, and they took me out of classes and put me in special ed programs. Around 17, I remember thinking, I can't do this anymore. I felt completely hopeless, so I decided I was going to take the gun out of the food pantry and shoot myself. Honestly, I just wanted to get out of the situation I was in. I knew there was a chance at dying, but there was a small hope that I wouldn't and that I would get out and get help. I just closed my eyes, I took a breath, and I shot myself. My life now is very different. I have a girlfriend, I have a car, I graduated high school, I have a full-time job, and these are all things my mom wouldn't let me do. Now I can live a normal life.
Love you, bud.
I'm not being brainwashed. I honestly want my mom to go away. I want her to stop suing the family I'm living with. I want her to stop threatening them. I want her to leave us alone. She does need to realize that I'm gone and I'm not coming back. I want David to know that I love him very much. I appreciate having somewhere to go. Like growing up, I always knew I couldn't run away because I had nowhere to go. But if I knew I could have gone with David, my dad, then I wouldn't have shot myself. I would have gone with him. And I just appreciate him being here for me now. He is what a real dad is.
Does that?
Okay, well, you spent the entire time that your son was talking, cussing out David.
For the things he made my son say.
You didn't hear what he
I
said.
surely did.
You
Yes, I
could
did.
not hear because you were yelling at him.
I heard what my son said.
What did he say?
He said that he was beat by my husband, which is totally untrue, every day. And I know that he made him say that, and he said that my husband was a con artist and stole money from people, which we can prove is not true. That I know he made him say that. He said that, gosh.
Well, that's when you started talking.
No.
Right after
I
that's
heard him
when you
say that
started
he had the
talking.
girlfriend and all this stuff, and his life is totally different. His life was, and he never finished a year in school, which I can prove is a lie. So I was becoming enraged because for someone to tell someone to say something so untrue about their family that raised them, I feel is abusive to my son. Because you don't take a child, put them in the middle, and give them false information to say on national TV about their parents.
Well, I would like to ask Lon
But
about
that's
it,
a
but
horrible
Lon
thing
got
to
up
put
and
him
wandered
under.
off from the Polycom. And,
No, I didn't, Dr.
oh,
Phil.
well, oh, you're back. Thank you.
I'm just pretty disgusted, as well
Yes.
as many, that you would take a child that's obviously brainwashed and take his position out.
No, I love
And and obviously he's telling people that I'm a con man because we've moved.
All right, Lon.
That's a 17-year-old kid
Well, hold on a minute, Lon. You're
talking on national television that's been brainwashed.
you're telling me
He's had a happy childhood.
you're telling me that that it's wrong for me to want to hear from this young man?
No, I think you should have talked to him, Dr. Phil. And I think you should have looked at his past psychiatric records. You could draw your own conclusion whether he has had any mental handicaps.
I have looked at the past records that I have been provided by different entities involved in this situation, and I have grave concerns about what is going on here. I've done my homework, sir, and I am certainly going to draw my conclusions, and I need nobody's permission here to do so. Not Lon's, not yours, not David's, nor Andrew's, but just to tell you what I think. I thought that's what you wanted to know, is what I thought about this.
Lon physically and mentally abused me every day of my life for 10 years. My mom knew everything. She would be in the room while my dad was beating me. Honestly, I don't want to ever see Lon again.
Wednesday on an all-new Dr. Phil. Is he killing his daughter?
I think that's a crock.
You're giving her money, and you don't know she's buying drugs with it.
You took her to a drug house to get it.
That's Wednesday.
My mom and Lon are very abusive people. Lon physically and mentally abused me every day of my life for 10 years. He beat me with his fists, spatulas. He beat me with the hangers. He used to shove food down my throat, foods I didn't like. And one of the ways he used to torture me was he used to give me cold showers. One time, he took the barbecue spoon he was using and hit me in the face with it. I actually have a scar right here. I remember one time I didn't get my room clean. He made me live in a tent for 4 months. My mom knew everything. She would be in the room while my dad was beating me, and she never did anything to stop it. Lon would give me alcohol and marijuana in exchange for working. He told me I was his slave, and he owned me. Honestly, I don't want to ever see Lon again. I have one question for him, though. I want to ask him why he treated me so bad, or what I ever did to deserve such a thing.
Sorry to hear about that, Andrew. Are you telling the truth here, or have you been brainwashed?
This is the reality I lived. Words can't describe how bad it actually was. It is ridiculous to sit here and watch my mother say all these things. None of it's true. Ever since I was 7, Lon beat me. Physically and mentally, I was abused for 10 years. I can't even describe how bad life was. The reality is that she's the one that brainwashed me. She's told me I had problems my whole life, and she's given me these diagnoses that aren't real. She's committed me to over 4 mental hospitals, and I've seen over 10 doctors, and every time I would go to one, when they told her I was normal, she just went to another one until she could convince one that I had problems. I just want her to know that I'm completely normal. I don't have problems. This is all going on in your head.
What do you say to that?
He was interviewed over the course of 3 days by multiple child welfare investigators. None of this ever came out. None of this is true. I've never heard of such stuff until he went to Nevada. He's been with him for over a year now.
Andrew told me that when you're beat bad enough, you don't speak out.
Andrew, you know that never happened. Nobody beat you.
I was beat every day for 10 years.
Okay, Lon, let me ask you something. Is that true?
This child's never been abused, Dr. Phil.
Why did you make me
And
live in a tent for 4 months?
Why did you tell people that you saw...
In the winter, in the rain. It was a wet tent.
Andrew, that's fabricated. The only thing your mother did was put you in a pusher motorhome because you were beating up your brother. So she had you sleeping at night in a pusher motorhome that a lot of people would live in. So your story just doesn't hold water, son.
No, this is true.
Well, let me just go through it, because according to Andrew, he missed months of school to work on the farm. He had to work, and his pay was food or drugs from you, Lon. Is that true or false?
Dr. Phil, that's absolutely false. We built a truck garden.
You made me stay home from school and water them all day for hours.
Andrew, you didn't stay home from school to water the plants. You stayed home from school because you were abusing alcohol and drugs
that you gave
And that's
me.
why when you were too drunk to go to school, we didn't want you to get hurt.
Where did he get the drugs and alcohol?
So we had you stay home.
Where did he get the drugs and alcohol, Lon?
He and his buddies apparently were stealing the alcohol from Safeway.
No.
Did he get drugs or alcohol from you?
Not with our permission, he did not get alcohol. We locked it up once we knew he had a problem with it.
They locked up
And he
the
had no-
alcohol, not the
obviously
gun
didn't
that he
think
shot
so.
himself with.
We had 3 gun safes. We had our guns in safes. That was an accident. We
It
have
wasn't an
gun
accident.
safes. That was an
Andrew
accident.
didn't accidentally shoot himself.
We didn't accidentally
Andrew
know he was going to
purposely
find
shot
a gun.
himself.
Lon, do you have marijuana plants at home?
No, I do not, Dr. Phil.
So you're saying that you took care of his marijuana plants?
We grew them. He taught me how to trim them. I watered them. I moved them.
We lived in Humboldt County. All of your friends had pot. Come on.
Did you live in a tent?
I did live in a tent for 4 months. They kicked me out of my room because I couldn't keep it clean. There was garbage on the floor. I couldn't hang out my clothes. I don't know why.
Did you steal food because you were starving?
I stole food from them. I never stole food from Safeway.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
And what happened if you got caught stealing the food?
They would beat me. I remember Lon told me I refused to work one day. He said, if you want food, you have to work. So I had to work for meals. I came in and cleaned the house, and at night they would kick me out to my tent. And it was winter. This happened from August to I shot myself, which was November. I lived in a tent.
What are you talking about?
You can't
Stealing
justify this.
food. That
You would
never
give me
happened.
privileges and take them away over stupid things.
Andrew.
Like I couldn't load the dishwasher right because I didn't put the forks up. You guys would beat me for it. I remember that's why you took me off the
Nobody
track
beat you.
team. They made me do track for
You got
2
grounded,
months.
Andrew.
We grounded you a
grounded.
lot.
Why did I get
But
grounded?
nobody beat you.
Why? Tell them
Because you
why.
disobeyed, Andrew.
How? How did I disobey? Because I couldn't fold towels perfectly right? Because I couldn't make the bed straight?
He didn't understand. You never understood why we were trying to discipline
Tell
him.
them about your shirts, Lon. What happened when I didn't fix the collars right? I couldn't hang them up. You beat me with the
Nothing.
hangers, so you broke
No,
them on
Andrew,
me.
it's when you tried. No, Andrew. No, Andrew, it's that you couldn't do the laundry for us because you would take, instead of just doing your laundry, you would ruin all of our clothes. So we asked you to stop doing laundry. Period.
Yes. We
That's
just
all.
said we didn't overwhelm you with chores.
Did you beat this boy with a hanger, Lon?
That boy's never been beat, Dr. Phil. You don't beat a kid because he can't process like we do.
Are you in school now? Have
I
you
graduated high school for
Right.
3.0.
You've graduated, but what was your GPA?
3.0 I graduated with.
He's always been intelligent.
I had
He's always been intelligent.
You hear a gunshot from your son's room, but you never went in the room.
I knew as a mother that I couldn't handle that.
Today, more than 16 million kids struggle with hunger, and without free school lunches, many of them will miss meals this summer. Fortunately, you can help. Visit feedingamerica.org/hunger to find your local food bank. I'm Dr. Phil, and together we are Feeding America. Well, we are all getting ready for our 12th season. Can you believe it?
If you are going to be in the Los Angeles area and you would like free tickets, go to drphil.com and click on Be in the Audience.
Or call 323-461-PHIL. One of the things that I'm sorry, it bothers me.
Okay.
You hear a gunshot from your son's room,
Yes.
and you think, oh my God, my son has shot himself. But you never went in the room. You didn't
What-
go check on him.
I heard a gunshot go off. And I thought to myself, maybe Andrew shot the wall or maybe he's playing with, found a gun, he's playing with it. I was in shock. I didn't think that I could see what could be there. I knew as a mother that I couldn't handle that. I just could not handle that part. So I did run to get Lon and tell him to go because I just knew I couldn't handle it and I had to call 911.
And when he
So-
went to the hospital, and I have different reports from you and from Andrew, but you say you went to the hospital and you were there for about an hour and you left.
I was there for an hour. I had 3 children and a nursing baby, and I wanted to. The children weren't awake. They haven't seen Andrew since he shot himself. They didn't see him in the hospital.
He seemed to be a little more in acute distress than the other 3, but you stayed for an hour and then you left.
No, I stayed for 2 hours with him until they stabilized him in the emergency room.
You stayed for 5 minutes or less.
I did not stay for 5 minutes.
I wanted you to stay longer, but you wouldn't. You said, Lon, you said that the kids were trying to go home and Lon couldn't take care of them.
That never happened. I stayed with you.
No,
I told you it was going to be okay. You were gasping for air, and I talked to the doctors. I stayed for 2 hours.
You didn't stay with me for 2 hours.
Yes, I did. And then I came back, and they were putting a chest tube in.
You tell me your son is lying in a bed, having shot himself, gasping for air.
I stayed there.
And you say, I got to go?
No, I did not. That never happened. I didn't look at the clock.
You just said, you
After
said I have to go.
2 hours, they told me they were going to transfer him, and then I left. It was 2 hours.
And then the next day, you said you went.
No, I came back that same morning.
You never came back.
I came back.
I never saw you at any of the hospitals.
I came back as they were putting the chest tube in, Andrew. You were on morphine.
You told us.
I wasn't.
Hold on. You
Yes,
told
you
us the
were.
next day you came back, you stayed a while, and then you left because you said, I'm not going to sit here and watch him sleep. That was your quote.
After he was on morphine, the next day, he was asleep. And yes, because I have a nursing baby at home and 2 other small children, 5, 6, and 1, I did have to go and take care of them while he was sleeping. But I came back consistently. I brought you a bear. I brought you food, brownies, and the nurse said he can't have a pen or pencil because he's on suicide. That has never happened.
You brought me my books.
Andrew,
you brought me a bear.
That
you
is
brought me
not
the iPad.
true.
And you
I
never
was
came
there.
back.
And you said that the truth is that anger and alcohol don't mix for you.
I did not say that. I'm saying that I was not the perfect mother, and I should have been there more for you. I should have listened to you. I didn't realize what you were going through with your friends.
Would you like to know why he says he shot himself?
Wednesday on an all-new Dr. Phil. Is he killing his daughter?
I think that's a crock.
You're giving her money, and you don't know she's buying drugs with it.
You took her to a drug house to get it.
That's Wednesday.
Want to know what's coming up on Dr. Phil? Visit our website and subscribe to our email newsletter. You'll get weekly updates, life strategies, and exclusive video that you won't find anywhere else.
Plus, on drphil.com, you can see sneak previews of upcoming shows. Log on today.
Well, Andrew has a lot more to say to his mother. Tomorrow, he tells Minnie the truth about why he tried to kill himself. Plus, will Minnie finally listen to her son and stop her lawsuit against David?
Tomorrow on an all-new Dr. Phil.
Are you going to continue to sue the family he's living with?
Absolutely, I am.
Now, this family drama
If you are attacking the family, you are attacking him.
is far from over.
I just closed my eyes and shot myself.
Why did you shoot yourself?
The surprising answer.
I hear the gunshot. I hear it.
You made me do it, Mom.
He's made these things in your head.
He's excelled.
You're not the one that hit the gunshot.
That's tomorrow.
You will not want to miss tomorrow's show. Now, if you at home want to have your own Doctor on Demand, a new app we created, go to Google Play or the App Store and download the Doctor on Demand app. If you're caught in the middle of a family battle, go to drphil.com for more information. Thanks a lot. So long.